Welcome to Decarb Connect's podcast. And this week, I'm very pleased to welcome back Aniruddha Sharma, who I first interviewed, I suppose it would have been September 2020, which feels like an incredibly long time ago, even though it's really only just under a year. But Aniruddha, you're CEO of Carbon Clean. You're one of the kind of fastest growing carbon capture companies that we read about you all the time. But maybe you could just give a little bit of an introduction to you and how you've arrived at this point of time with the business, and then we'll move into a discussion about carbon capture as service from there.
Great. Alex, thank you so much for having me here on the podcast. Great to be back. And as you rightly said, 1 year, just under 1 year just went past so quickly. I was born and brought up in a very small town, Bhopal, which is famous for the large chemical industrial disaster. And I think that's really the reason what I do. Then I graduated from Indian Institute of Technology, IIT in Kharagpur, and then started this company, Carbon Clean Solutions, back in 2009, which actually seems like a very, very long time back. And then, it's been about 12 years. We've been working quite hard in bringing the product out to the market and solving the problems for industrial decarbonization.
Okay, and I described you very vaguely as a leading carbon capture technology, but anyone who listens knows carbon capture means many different things to different people. So, what kind of piece of the market are you targeting? What's the kind of core product or technology that you're focused on?
Sure. So let me just quickly tell you about what carbon capture is from a broader sense, and then I'll talk a bit about what specifically we are focused on. Carbon capture utilization storage is a collective term for a set of technologies that enable any large industrial CO2 emitter to isolate and capture carbon dioxide at that point source, and then either utilize it into another product or go and store this in an underground cavity, which is the storage for permanent sequestration of CO2. So that whole chain is called carbon capture utilization and storage. The first part, which is carbon capture, isolation of CO2 from the smokestack, is the most expensive part, which is where about 60 to 70% of the cost from the whole value chain goes in. Now, we are exactly focused on this part, and we are focused on reducing the cost of this part, which is carbon capture. Now, even under carbon capture, we are helping industries, so steel, cement, waste incineration, refining, and petrochemicals. Heavy industry, we're helping them to decarbonize with a technology which is quite compact, modular, and could be delivered quite quickly. But at the same point of time, could be scaled up as they move forward with their ambition for decarbonization, their existing sites.
Yeah, and I think it's that modular piece that makes what you do so interesting, isn't it? Because for many industrials, when you talk to them, like the first thing, or there's probably two things they say when you mention carbon capture as an opportunity. One is it scalable yet? Which you're proving that it is. And the other is, how do we afford it? So the answer in part is, well, industrially dip your toe in, use this kind of modular opportunity to build up and scale as you go. So yeah, interesting opportunity that you're bringing to them. Okay, let's kind of reset then, so that the kind of conversation that we're here to have is really looking at carbon capture as a service. But I mean, in the context of this year, with COP26 coming up in November, and that does feel like it's hurtling towards us, doesn't it? Tell me a bit about what are your expectations for that meeting, and what are you hoping that it will do, either for the market or for policy, or for what are you looking forward to about it? What are your hopes for that point in time?
Sure. So I think my hopes, to be honest, is that the world will be able to achieve an agreement where everyone agrees on a decarbonization target and achievement of net zero ambition. I think Paris was a first step towards it, where world agreed to do something. But I think we now need action. We now need really solid steps that this is what every single country would do to be able to achieve that net zero ambition. So my hope is the world will be able to actually agree on that plan, that this is how we'll do it collaboratively, because this is not about one country or two countries or a continent. This is about the whole planet. What this means for industrial decarbonization, carbon capture policy, I think this could potentially mean quite a lot of things. If the world leaders become really, really ambitious and agree on a plan, then this could mean that accelerating decarbonization of heavy industry, which today can't be replaced. I mean, we can't shut down cement plants and steel plants because we do need those products. And carbon capture is potentially one of the very few ways how you could actually start the decarbonization in 2021. We don't have to wait for 2025 or 2030 and think about, oh, we need to reinvent the whole wheel around cement production or steel production. We don't have to do any of that. We can actually decarbonize this today. And if that were to happen, I mean, IEA says that we need to scale up carbon capture from about 40 million tons captured today to about 500 times between now and 2050. And to give you an idea what this would mean is it would probably mean creation of a couple of companies of the size of BP just doing carbon capture.
That's quite it's quite a mental image to play with that, isn't it? The kind of the
Yes.
speed of growth needed to really have that bigger impact, and but also, yeah, interesting to contextualize it around those big oil and gas engineering companies, because I guess that's it kind of points to one of sometimes the criticisms or pushback against carbon capture is, oh, is it just a way to let the fossil fuel companies have their cake and eat it? But uh, you know, the answer is, well, this is one tool, isn't it? I mean, I doubt that you're presenting this to people as this is the only thing you ever need. This is one very important tool in a whole mix. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, carbon capture is not a silver bullet, and I don't think any single technology is a silver bullet. We do need all the arrows in our quiver to be able to solve the climate change problem, to be able to achieve net zero ambition. Because honestly, I mean, what works for one site, one company, one country, one community does not necessarily work for other country, other company, other site, other community. So we need to have pseudo options and say, okay, well, if the site is this, 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 and this, then this option works, or if the site is this, this, and this, then this option works. So we absolutely need as many options as possible, actually, to be able to solve the issue of global warming and climate change.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, the kind of core kind of discussion point for us today is really about this idea of carbon capture as a service, which is something kind of we start to read a little bit more and more about as the ecosystem evolves. But I wonder if you could kind of kick us off with just your thoughts on what's your lens on that? Like, what does that mean when we describe carbon capture as a service?
Sure.
And what does it mean to the clients that I imagine are bringing that to you as a hope that you're going to be able to play that into their business?
Exactly. Well, I mean, to contextualize that, Alex, let me just tell you the problem most of these companies and industry they're facing as they think about carbon capture, the solution. For example, if you're the CEO of a cement plant or a steel plant or any other heavy industry, you would have a couple of options. Carbon capture, you would be thinking about hydrogen, you would be thinking about biomass with carbon capture and storage, and then you're basically confused. What should I do? And how should I do this? Actual knowledge, or quite a lot of the knowledge actually sits with the oil and gas companies, just because they've had the experience of doing this over a period of years. Number one, and number two, uh, the kind of human capital they have in the business, it's just so sophisticated that it allows them to look at all these options and say this is the best option for us. What we're trying to do is we're trying to simplify this for heavy industry or for the industrial sites where they do not necessarily have the understanding of what their options are. For example, a cement plant. If you go to these people and if you talk to the operators on site or even the head of the plant, they say, well, I produce cement and that's all I know about. I don't know anything about carbon capture or carbon capture and storage. So it is for this specific segment of the market, we've come out with a service um, to go and help them in implementing carbon dioxide capture. And we do this by a mix of two things. One, a modular technology, which could go to their site and fit in quite easily. And second, innovative finance, which we bring in to say that, hey, Mr. CEO, you don't have to invest in this whole plant or in this project today. you can actually agree to pay us over a period of 10 years, and then we agree on a decarbonization plan. Now, this does two things. One, as a CEO of a heavy industrial site or heavy industrial company, you don't have to worry about raising quite a lot of finance for a technology you or your people do not understand how it works. You could just say, I'm actually leasing equipment, or I'm actually buying this service from an expert. Number one. Number two, you can actually scale up the service. So you can actually say, well, I need 5% decarbonization between 21 and 23. I need the decarbonization go from 5% to 25% between 23 and 25. From then, I want to scale up by 5% every year. What this would do is it would allow you to successively build on what you already have and scale up your carbon capture capacity and decarbonization capacity over a period of time. And hence, the solution is called carbon capture as a service, or the other name is technology as a service as well.
Okay. And then that concept that you described obviously implies a kind of a web of partners that you're bringing into this mix. So where are we with carbon capture as a service in terms of development? Like how much of it, how much of that ecosystem exists right now? I mean, I know we're going to talk in a moment about the Acorn project, but in more general terms, how much of this is like, oh, it's a no-brainer versus, okay, we have this bit sorted, we're still looking at X, Y, Z. Tell us a bit about the kind of status of it.
Great question, Alex. I think as far as the overall scheme is concerned, it's certainly in its nascent stage. Because if you think about carbon capture as service, technology as a service as an option, you need a couple of things. You need a technology company, you need a EPC company, you need a financing company, and you need an operations company. And you need all four of them sorted before you can actually launch this service. What we did is last year we announced a project with the Marubeni. It's a shareholder of ours, but it's also a finance house that's going to provide the financing for the equipment. We are the technology company. We bring with ourselves an EPC company, for example, Wood Group, or a KBR, or other people who can actually deliver this in time, on budget, on the site. And the third most important part is a service company that could provide the service for storing the CO2. And that's really where our shareholder Equinor comes in, because they are developing a massive big storage off the coast of Norway. So yes, we are currently in a nascent stage, but what we are doing at Carbon Clean is we're trying to put all the dots together so that we can draw a clear map of this is how this service will be delivered for companies across Europe. We've started from Europe first.
Okay.
This business model would need government funding, like any other business model, any other proposition, any other technology. As we scale up, we do need government support as we go forward, and it's exactly there where the UK government's latest announcement on industrial carbon capture utilization funding that starts to play in. I'm really, really pleased that British government has actually formally mentioned carbon capture as a service in that document, which means government clearly realizes the need for a business model where technology could be offered as a service and customers could pay for it over a period of 10 years.
Are you seeing kind of similar movements by governments elsewhere as well to kind of support the model, not just the technology and the innovation?
Absolutely. The European Union innovation funding, they're offering a certain upfront match as a capital grant. And then there is a certain match funding for the entire period of operations of the project, so about 10 years. We're certainly seeing that the model in the US is actually very supportive of this carbon capture as a service model, because what the government does in the US is they provide you tax credits. And to be able to claim the credits, you need to have a project that's up and running. And hence, it's directly aligned with carbon capture as a service and incentivizing people to sort of develop this as a business model, as a proper business model that could pay for itself over a period of next 10 years.
Mm. And interestingly, we actually just recorded a podcast with Liquid Wind, who I know Carbon Clean is integral, I guess, as a shareholder, am I right? As well as
Yes, we are a
one of the
shareholder.
project partner. But I was interested talking to them that they were describing a project environment for liquid wind where they're hoping that those key partners will be the partners that they replicate uh, a number of projects with in an ideal world. Is that the kind of goal, or is that the idea of the partnerships you're forming, or do you see that they might flex and change region to region? What's your sense of that?
No, no. I mean, I think it's definitely the former. The idea is to actually develop a consortium, because, like I said, carbon capture and utilization or storage is a set of technologies coming together to form a project. When you go from one project, successfully delivering one project, you've actually taken out all the risk that come from individual technologies, integration of individual technologies, raising the financing for an innovative project like that. So you've actually de-risk the whole project and the business model. You don't want to bring risk again and say, well, actually, for this project, let's do this. No, no, no. You have got a project. It's well proven. It's well funded. It's de-risk. Let's just replicate this and try and do this at scale.
Okay. Well, on that note, then let's have a look at that kind of in action with the Acorn project. So, um, tell yeah, we did a podcast, I guess towards the beginning of the year with Storega, who are a key part of that as well. But again, give us the lie of the land. What's the project? Where is it based? And how does this kind of play into this concept of carbon capture as service?
Acorn is a world-leading industrial decarbonization, carbon capture, utilization, storage project based in St. Fergus Terminal within Scotland. The central plan of Acorn project is to utilize the existing oil and gas infrastructure to be able to send the CO2 back in the North Sea and then store it for a very, very long time. And because it's a project that's utilizing existing infrastructure, it could be scaled up quite easily and quite quickly. And I'm confident that the Storiga team and the partners are actually working on a plan to potentially scale up the project's capacity to be able to store 5 to 10 million tons of carbon dioxide between 25 and 2030. So that's going to be a massive, big milestone. Carbon Clean is partnering with the Acorn team, Acorn project team, to help deliver the feed front-end engineering design, which is, I mean, in layman's terms, is the first blueprint of how a project would be built, what will be built, what all parts will be required, and how much will it cost. So that's the uh, first close look at the blueprint of the project. That's exactly what we're working on from a carbon capture side. At the same point of time, Storiga team and Acorn team are parallelly working on options like integrating hydrogen, options like integrating some of direct air capture capacity, so that all the CO2 could be stored directly in the North Sea.
And timeline on that feed study? What's the kind of the timeline of this first phase versus perhaps timeline for, a kind of the spade to go into the ground, or for the project to be open as a commercial entity? What are those key stage timelines?
So, to be honest, Alex, the timelines beyond the feed study would also depend on the government decision making. I mean, as you know, it's a large infrastructure project, and the government has announced £1 billion for carbon capture and decarbonization, and they're currently in the process of deciding the first two industrial clusters they would like to fund for decarbonization, and they've said that the first one should be operational by 2025. So if you sort of try and work backwards from there, sort of links up from there. So I think the timeline depends on when the government makes a decision, the contracts that could be agreed between Acorn and the government team, and then the project starts.
Okay.
In terms of the feed study that we're doing at this point of time, we are planning to finish it by the end of this year.
Okay, so yeah, it's been a really busy time for you. I know that you're now 50 odd people, aiming to be 70 plus by the end of this year. Is that right? So
That's
obviously
correct. Yeah.
massive growth in terms of personnel. And that is off the back of the previous finance round. You're about to go through, or you are in the process of going through another kind of investment round. Tell us about that. Where are you at with that? And what are you hoping that's going to unleash for you next?
Yeah, very very interesting times for us, Alex. I mean, it's unbelievable. Just under a year when we did the podcast in September last year, we were 15 people at that point of time, and we're now 49, and like you said, we're going to be over 70 by the end of the year. So again, the team is growing quite fast. The opportunity set at the same point of time is growing super fast as well. I mean, the investment that the government wants to make and the industry wants to make in terms of building back better, and the need for that to be green and clean, I think that's driving a huge demand in the market for our solution. But to your question around the investment round, so we have actually closed the investment round, which was led by Cemex Ventures. Cemex is one of the largest cement and concrete products company out there. They've led this $8 million round, which was also participated by our existing investors, Equinor and Wave Equity Partners as well. So we are planning and we are hoping to use this money to further grow the team and then deliver on the new projects that we are signing up. We would be following up quite closely the development with the British government, because we are helping a couple of the sites in the UK for developing a plan, a decarbonisation strategy and a plan, so that they can get the right level of support from the government. And we're doing exactly the same thing with a couple of companies in Europe as well. So yeah, lots going on, and lots of exciting times ahead.
Before we kind of close out, I guess one of the questions I was interested in are the partnerships that you're forming that really feel they're helping sort of drive your mission forward. And obviously, you've mentioned Equinor, you've mentioned Marubeni, I mentioned Liquid Wind. I know that's one of a number, but are there other companies that you're in partnership with that we should flag up and sort of explain as part of your broader ecosystem?
We have a fully functional partners program, and we classify the partners in two buckets. One is strategic partners, and second, the execution/development partners. Couple of other strategic partners, I mean, you've named some of them. A couple of others are Cemex. So they've become an investor, but at the same point of time, we are working with them in California and the US to build a small carbon capture demonstration unit, which is funded by the US Department of Energy. Similarly, with Veolia, we have announced a joint vehicle to deliver the technology as a service in Asia, in one of the geographies in Asia. But at the same point of time, we have announced, I think 2 months back, we have announced a project with them in the UK to demonstrate carbon capture from energy from waste units, energy from waste side. So, that's a bit about the strategic partners. And then there are development partners, or the partners with whom we are actually collaborating to get into new areas, new geographies, or do something really, really interesting. A great example is our partnership with Bayertech in the US. The vision is to deliver low-cost blue hydrogen on a distributed basis. And we are partnering with them to provide a specific and a specialized piece of equipment which will help remove the carbon dioxide so the blue hydrogen could be delivered to the end customers. To that end, we are discussing a couple of projects in the US where the blue hydrogen demand is just spiking up. So I think Bayertech is a great example as far as developmental partners are concerned, and the kind of partnerships we're launching.
Lovely.
One of the things that I probably want to just maybe highlight before we go is that we've just started the next generation version of our technology in Scotland. Yeah, this is world's first really compact, the 10 times smaller skid mounted unit we talk about. We've just started that up in Scotland. We would also be opening that up at COP, so that delegates who are coming to COP could actually just drive 20 minutes and see what's happening in real life as far as carbon capture is concerned.
Yeah, we get a lot of companies asking us about the kind of site visits, not just in the UK, but across Europe and elsewhere, because I think there's a lot of interest in, I suppose, seeing all of these decarbonisation technologies as a, in situ. I mean, if you're the company that's partnering with someone at the pilot stage, you're like, yeah, we have it in situ. But a lot of companies just have that curiosity about, well, how does this work? Where you have an existing plant, how does this sit alongside. So that's a great opportunity for people to explore that. So just picking up on that, Aniruddha, the project that you have that you'll be able to demonstrate on site in Scotland around in September and also around COP26, who's the partner with that? And is it sort of linked to a particular kind of sector, industrial sector, or is it a demonstration, a more general demonstration of that new technology?
A great question, Alex. Yeah, so it's more like a general demonstration of the technology, so that we can actually test a couple of things: what's happening, what's not happening. We could also modify the unit to suit any specific industrial application as well. And the partner with whom we are doing this are Doosan and Babcock, based in Renfrew in Scotland. Great partner, massive engineering expertise, massive amount of information and knowledge on carbon capture. So yeah, we're definitely partnering with this, and this unit is hosted within one of their sites.
Wonderful. Well, I think that's, as I said, big opportunity for people to really see some of this technology in action. So good luck with those site visits. I mean, always lovely to see you, Hannah. You've been very generous with your time today, but also previously with us at Decarb Connect. So thank you for that. I know you've got lots going on in the run up to COP26, but you're also going to be joining us, I think, at Decarb Connect Europe, which is our European iteration in October. So we will be getting under the bonnet of more of your projects and consortia then, I'm sure. But thank you again and congratulations on another successful investment round. And yeah, we'll look forward to see where this year takes you next.
No problem, Alex. I mean, again, great. Thank you so much for having me here. Always amazing to come here and talk to you and share our story with you as a more like as a friend. And I'll definitely be looking forward to the Europe version of Decarb Connect in October.
Good luck, obviously, with COP26, although I will see you before then. But thank you again, Aniruddha. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely, Alex. Thank you so much.